You're listening to TC Talks on TNT.
Welcome back to TC Talks. I'm your host, TC, here with another episode for you. Today, we are going to be getting into my Week 12 predictions. But before we dive into all that, I want to remind you, we are doing a giveaway right here on this channel. The first 25 subscribers will get a chance to win a $10 gift card right here on the channel. So make sure you don't miss out. We're only a handful of subscribers away, so don't miss that deadline. Or if you don't like free money, go ahead and skip it altogether. And I want to see your comments down below as to why you're opposed to free money. But back to my Week 12 predictions. I know we're a few days late at this point, possibly a day if TC really gets to work, which I'm hoping I'm able to. I got another hour at work, so we're going to be diving into that and hopefully get it to you by the end of tonight. But the Bills obviously would have been slated to beat the Lions. If you don't know, if you're just tuning in, if this is your first episode of TC's predictions, TC went back-to-back weeks for the first time being under 500, both in these back-to-back weeks, under 500 for the first and second time this season. It was unprofessional, it was uncanny, and it was unacceptable. So TC was here for the give me picks. The picks that were so obvious going to go one direction that TC needed to go in that way. And that game is the Bills. The Bills might have almost lost this game, but TC wouldn't have known that predicting it. He was assuming this was going to be a blowout, a 28-25 win, which relied on a field goal, not even a touchdown by Josh Allen, is not exactly something TC is excited about. So while you could say TC was right, TC was wrong in so many ways as well. Then you have the Giants taking on the Cowboys, and let's be honest, the Cowboys are the better team. The record might have been a little bit different for a long time, but the Cowboys and Dak Prescott really started to click, and they started to legitimize themselves. And honestly, I didn't even realize that the Cowboys were 7-3 going into this contest. I honestly had slept on them for multiple weeks. I had not paid attention to them. The last I tuned in, I'm pretty sure they were like 2 games, a game above 500, and I was like, ugh, look at the Cowboys right now. What are they even doing? And now, a few weeks later, they are multiple games above 500. So give them that credit. This is a solid team all around, and TC would have been backing them against Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. But then the Patriots took on the Vikings, and this is a game that got away from TC. TC really expected Kirk Cousins to let this one slip away easily. We all know how Kirk is in prime time, but TC said it earlier this year, and it rings true after this past Thanksgiving. This is Kirk Cousins' season. Every team that we expected to be good, such as the Cardinals, such as the AFC West, all of those teams that are underperforming right now are just terrible, and it leaves Kirk Cousins a window to be able to sneak into one of the top contenders for the NFC, if not the playoffs as a whole. So I think Kirk Cousins got lucky in this one personally. I mean, it was a sizable victory, a whole touchdown, and able to come away with the win in this one. But honestly, I'm shocked to that one. So in those games, TC was 2-1, but now we're moving on to Sunday and Monday Night Football, and Sunday afternoon, thankfully, kicks off with the Broncos and Panthers. And I say thankfully just because we all know how fantastic of a team the Broncos and Panthers are. Then you have the Falcons taking on the Commanders, and I do predict the Panthers win this one, but the Broncos winning that one in a low-scoring game would not be too surprising either. Then the Falcons take on the Commanders, and because the Commanders have absolutely been charging lately, I am going to have to go with them in this contest. Taylor Heineke is absolutely feeling himself. He's vibing so hard right now. He is buying Jordans with every check he gets. He's icing himself out on the plane. He's doing all of that. So I will say the Commanders win swimmingly in this one and improve to 2 games above 500. Then the Bengals take on the Titans, and I hear a lot of people giving the Bengals flack for having such a lackluster win against the Steelers, and while I understand what they're saying, the Bengals and Steelers rivalry is one of the best in the NFL. On top of that, TJ Watt made one of the most game-breaking catches anybody has ever seen a defensive lineman make. So adding that all in, it's no surprise to me that the Bengals really had to claw their way to victory, no pun intended by the way, but boom, against the Steelers. I mean, that's just the reality of what was going to happen. The Bengals and Steelers go neck and neck every single time they play, and the Bengals able to secure the win against a lower tier team. But that's not to say the Steelers are also a bad team, especially when they're known for their defense, and the Bengals not necessarily known for that. So the fact that the Bengals were able to overcome the Steelers defense is a good sign for the Bengals, and I have them beating the Titans in a very close game this week. Then the Bears take on the Jets, and I know a lot of Bear fans are hoping that the Jets are lackluster with a Mike White, a very bland name at quarterback this week, but that bland name is not going to translate to the stat sheet. Now, I will say that Bill Belichick might make it so, but I do predict that Mike White has the ability to kind of be a game-changing quarterback, but Bill Belichick might rely on his defense if they're able to stifle what am I talking about? Then the Bears take on the Jets, and I think the Bears have a shot, but if I'm being honest, Mike White might show how special he is in this one. However, at the same time, that Jets defense is so good, and that Bears defense cannot stop the run, so perhaps the Jets don't even rely on Mike White in this one. However, that would just go to show that with a good defense paired with a solid running game, any quarterback should be poised to win for the Jets. So I have the Jets winning in this one swimmingly. Then the Browns take on the Buccaneers, and this game should be one of the better games, in my opinion. Now, everybody's expecting Tom Brady to kind of reemerge in this game, and I believe that is possible, but against a solid Browns defense, that might not be the case. And I know a lot of people are saying a lot of teams have run up the score against these Browns. Well, I don't expect Jacoby Brissett to go down quietly. This is his last game until the Browns go ahead and play the Texans next week in Deshaun Watson's homecoming. So I think that it's going to be a very close matchup. Jacoby Brissett is in a situation where he has to show other teams or the Browns themselves why he's worth keeping around. And I think he's going to do a great job in this contest, but I do see the Buccaneers sneaking away with the win. Then the Ravens take on the Jaguars, and honestly, I did not realize the Ravens were as spicy as they were either. I did not realize they were a 7-3 team. That means Lamar Jackson, even if he's playing like doo-doo, he is able to pull a win out of his you-know-what. So, given that, I think it's going to be an easy win for the Ravens, but that doesn't mean that Trevor Lawrence can't shock everyone like he did in like week 3 or 4. So that while that is a possibility, I don't project that, and the Ravens are going to secure the win in this one. Then the Texans, searching for their second win of the season, are taking on the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins are just clicking this year. One of the most overperforming 7-3 teams this year. So hopefully TC is right yet again, and the Dolphins pummel the Texans, and hopefully Tua doesn't get injured and cause his team to lose this one, because it's a double loss for TC in that one. Then the Chargers take on the Cardinals, and honestly, this is a tough game to decide. This is a definition of a toss-up, because TC has talked a lot about these two teams. These are two teams that are upper mid teams. And what do I mean by that? They should be upper tier teams fighting for that number one spot in their respective conferences. However, they are finding ways to play into being mid. There's just no consistency. There is no domination week in, week out, even on a weekly basis. Like in a game, there is no domination. So it's really interesting to see how two teams with so much talent, so much potential, just continuously waste it. So as much as I've ripped on two of these teams, I have to pick a winner here, and I think I'm going to go with the Chargers just because, I don't know. I take it back because Justin Herbert is at 500. I'm going to go ahead and give it to the Cardinals, but if I was wrong, if he is below 500, I am going to give it to the Chargers. So I'm just saying because he is not allowed to be above 500 his whole career. He has not been above 500. So that trend will continue. That's my prediction. But so that means if he's down a game in terms of a 500 record, he's going to win. So depending on that situation, that's the outcome. Okay? Are we good on that? Because TC is pretty sure that he has he's at 500. So I'm going to go officially with the Cardinals 100%. But if it is the case that Justin Herbert is a game below 500, just know TC is going to say next week that it's a win for TC because of what I'm saying now. I hope I've dedicated enough time for you to understand that. So then you have the Raiders taking on the Seahawks, and honestly, the Seahawks should win swimmingly in this one, but with all that's going on in Vegas right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they make this one a screecher. And you know what I mean. When you go to the pig farm where they go to make our meat, you hear a very high-pitched, loud noise. And that's exactly what I think the Raiders are going to do. They're going to go out squealing, and it's going to be messy and disgusting, and you're not going to want to hear any of it. In fact, there's a grown man crying on national television when the Raiders play football. So you tell me, do you want to hear that? Some people absolutely, but me, even though I've never believed in Derek Carr, don't want to hear him cry. No interest. So the Seahawks and Geno Smith win. But if it means that Derek Carr's not going to cry, I will give it to the Raiders. But seriously, it's the Seahawks. Then we have the Saints taking on the 49ers, and the 49ers are just going to steamroll the Saints, who don't really know what they're doing. Are they competitive? Are they taking? Nobody knows. They don't even know. Then the Rams take on the Chiefs, and what everybody thought was the Super Bowl last year turned out to be not. And the Rams went ahead and won the Super Bowl, but they have lost it this season. 3-7 on the year. The Chiefs 8-2, and I think it's going to be a steamrolling by the Chiefs in this one. Or is it bad to say a scalping? Either case, we have the Packers taking on the Eagles. And honestly, Eagles fly high, baby. Fly, Eagles, fly. Then the Steelers take on the Colts, and this is probably one of the most interesting games, if not the most interesting game of the week, because on the one hand, you have a vibing Steelers team. They played really good against the Bengals. It was probably one of the best losses that organization could have hoped for. And on top of that, they are just gelling right now. You see the energy. They were able to put up points on offense. The defense, even though it did let up a lot of scores, it was able to come away with some key stops, key takeaways against a much better offense. So if they're able to replicate that kind of play against the Colts, it's going to be very hard for any team to be able to come back against. And those Colts, on the other hand, they have Jeff Saturday just reviving this team. This whole the offense has been revitalized. The defense looks better. Jonathan Taylor's actually running the ball again, and it's just fantastic. So this is going to be a really good game. I do think the Colts are more built to win right now, so I am going to go with the Colts in this one, but I would not be surprised if the Steelers won this Monday night matchup. Well, that's going to do it for this week, guys. Let me know what you think about my predictions down below in the comments section. Until next time, this has been TC with TC Talks. Peace.